Hey guys, Rexter here, and welcome to a brand new Poppy Playtime breakdown. In today's video, we're going to be going over one of the most sought out questions of Chapter 3. And that question is, what happened to DogDay? And how does his appearance change the way we look at Poppy Playtime? And the prototype's effect on other monsters. We're going to do a deep dive into DogDay's history in the game, not to mention the Bigger Bodies initiative, his relationship with the other smiling critters, and how exactly he got possessed by something or someone. So if that sounds good to you, ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn and a drink and let's go ahead and dive in. So for starters, DogDay was initially launched alongside the remaining smiling critters. He and the rest of the gang made headlines based off the merchandise and obviously the show that was dedicated to small children. Funny enough, in the show itself, DogDay looks to be like the leader of the gang, and in the Smiling Critters cartoon, he even attempts to uplift the mood of the room as all the other characters are scared, reassuring that everything is going to be okay. Funny enough, this is actually similar to his character that we see in Chapter 3. Sadly, our first encounter with the critter is when he is found hung up inside of a prison inside of the Playcare.
You're Poppy's angel. Come to save us. Nothing left to save. Not here. Nor at Catnap's home, angel. Their home. A myriad pairs of eyes are on you now. Watching, waiting, hungry. They want nothing more than to crawl beneath your skin and eat away at you bit by little bit. Fill what feels empty inside themselves. That thing, Catnap. The prototype is his god, and this is what he does to heretics. These little toys follow Catnap to avoid that very fate, and in return, they are fed. We try to fight it, the prototype's control. I am the last of the smiling critters. Listen to me. You need to get out of this place. You need to live. You and Poppy could fix this. End this madness. The torment. Oh no. Oh no. Leave me. Please. Just go. Run.
This scene, for the first time, is one of the most horrific things that we've seen in the Poppy Playtime franchise. Literally watching a man/monster eaten alive by little tiny smiling critters as he calls out for help, agonizing in pain, and then eventually becomes possessed by something. DogDay does make mention of a bunch of important factors though. For one, he emphasizes that Catnap's god is the prototype, and that he will do whatever it takes to make sure that mission is sought after. He also asks us if we're here to save them, and that we are Poppy's angel, referring to us multiple times as an angel. But why? Where does he get this from? And right before he gets more into depth, he explains that there's millions of eyes watching us right now at this very moment, probably referring to the tiny smiling critters that are about to crawl inside of his body, explaining that they are so afraid of Catnap that they will do whatever it takes to keep him happy, and in return, they will be fed. And by fed, I'm imagining he means off the flesh of the traitors to the prototype. But more importantly, DogDay begins to explain that him and the other smiling critters tried to fight the prototype's reign. Sadly though, he is the last surviving smiling critter, but not for long, as he is just about to explain why Poppy and the character are so important, explaining over and over again, yelling at the top of his lungs that we need to live and that we could fix this. However, shortly after, the many smiling critters begin to emerge from the walls, eating him alive from the bottom up, and eventually looking to possess him, which then invokes the intense chase scene by DogDay himself, changing so quickly from an ally to an enemy. But let's talk about why this happened. Why did DogDay go from being so helpful, wanting to stop the prototype, to looking possessed, darkening in his eyes, and eventually chasing us to what could have been our death and demise? And that brings me to my first theory. I believe that something or someone has possessed not only DogDay, but has the power to possess the other monsters within the Playtime factory, as I don't believe these exact monsters started off so evil, but maybe this is some way of getting the prototype to have these monsters switch sides. And I believe he did that using Catnap's gas. You see, it didn't only allow him to capture children and allow the scientists to experiment on them, but it was also a way of altering their thoughts and imaginations, for example, to change into something dark and sinister, bringing out a form of them that was almost dependent on Catnap's gases and allowing him to take control of them. Now, this idea comes from the original Smiling Critters cartoon, which was used as a way to tease Chapter 3. Notice, all of the critters seem to be afraid, scared, not only about the storm, but something else on the horizon. The only character in this entire story that looks to be able to somewhat overcome this is DogDay himself, the leader of the gang. However, this all changes when Poppy's gas begins to fill the room, allowing them to be somewhat excited, laughing uncontrollably, and eventually leading to their demise. And this is how I believe he was able to kill or possess the other Smiling Critters, and that is why DogDay, the only one who is strong enough to overcome it, well, at least until this part of the game, was able to do so. You see, Catnap's goal was very simple. Anything or anyone that got in the way of his god, the prototype's plans, was set down to either be tortured or killed. And after they've broken down DogDay to mere bones, cutting his body completely in half, torturing him, the only thing left was to take over his mind. And now is the perfect opportunity, as it is at its weakest it's ever been. You see, I don't believe that it's the mini Smiling Critters that are allowing him to chase us. However, his mind has just eventually gone insane, based off of not only the pain, but the suffering. He has eventually just given up that this is day zero. Nothing else can be changed in this situation. Eventually losing his mind and overcoming to the dark side. And that is why he begins to chase us through the Playcare. This thing is no longer DogDay, but a shell of his former self. It may not be possessed per se, but it is something that has completely lost its mind entirely and given up hope. Now, obviously, if we play devil's advocate here, it could also be the corpse is just being controlled by the mini Smiling Critters. But then that brings up the question, how or why are these mini Smiling Critters able to possess his body? Or maybe they're just taking the former shell of it and able to push it along, kind of filing in unison like a giant conveyor belt per se. However, eventually escaping this former version of DogDay, that thing is left barricaded behind a closed door, presumably dying and heard by the screams of terror and agony. But now the big question is, what happened to DogDay's relationship with Catnap? These were originally supposed to be two best friends, but something or someone happened to get in the way. Obviously, we know, based off of DogDay's voice lines, that Catnap looked at the prototype like some sort of god. And if you haven't watched the video yesterday, it is proven that the prototype once saved the boy who was eventually turned into Catnap long ago. And after that happened, he pretty much devoted his life to his new god. However, the other Smiling Critters don't seem to be so, let's say, convinced about the prototype's plan. Their morals stand in between what they should and shouldn't do, something that Catnap wasn't able to do. However, unfortunately, the rest of the Smiling Critters, along with DogDay, don't really possess any abilities. thus making it very easy for Catnap to eventually take over and leave DogDay in a place where we find him in chapter 3. For all we know, DogDay could have spent decades here in this exact place, being tortured. For what reason exactly, other than the pure joy of the prototype, serving as a lesson to the rest of the monsters and the mini smiling critters as to never defy what the prototype has planned. But now the big question is, how has word gotten around the Playcare that we are the new angel, here to save not only the monsters, but finally put an end to what the prototype has planned? Poppy seems to be very excited and has a lot of faith in us as a character, as DogDay refers to us as his angel, the angel that will finally put an end to all of this. I don't know about you, but that seems like a lot of pressure, especially since all of the other characters seem to be getting word of something similar. But I also think it's important to point out that DogDay doesn't sound like a child. He sounds like a grown man, which brings me to my next theory. What if DogDay is actually Dr. White? We know that this similar process happened with Braun, as the person that is inside of him, we know, is actually Thomas Clark, an adult. Obviously, we know some type of voice box has been put into these toys, but it does make a good point. This exact person could actually not be a child after all, but a human man, or at least once was, thus having the morals to be able to want to put a stop to what is exactly happening within the Playcare and put an end to this whole nonsense that the prototype is spreading to children. My thought here is that there was a split down the middle, with some monsters believing that Elliot Ludwig is the devil, and the other ones who were treated either nicely by him or were saved by him in the case of maybe a child who was either sick or needed help, eventually being turned into this bigger bodies initiative, giving back to him. This split would actually go right down the middle, with Poppy and of course Kissy Missy and the smiling critters on one side, with the other side being filled with Huggy Wuggy, Mommy Longlegs, Catnap, and possibly Boxy Boo. It really just comes down to who was in favor or out of favor when it comes to the hour of joy, the killing of multiple humans with inside the Playcare, a sense of revenge, or maybe just a senseless act of violence. Either way, you obviously know based off of this video which side DogDay stood on, or at least hung on. This poor smiling critter, man, child, whatever he was, had to suffer, not only being tortured but eventually becoming possessed by something or someone, chasing us in his last dire breaths until he eventually met his demise. The sad, fatal story of DogDay. So if you guys have more theories, not only on DogDay, but other characters in the game that you would like me to cover, do me a big favor, go ahead and comment some of your favorite theories down below. I'll do a deeper dive into them, and I would love to hear from you. Also, if you've been enjoying this series on the channel, do me a big favor, hit that like button and that subscribe button to show your support. And again, guys, at the end of this week, we will be giving out 3 copies of Poppy Playtime Chapter 3 that Mob Games was kind enough to give us codes to. In order to enter into this competition, all you have to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below DogDay, and you will be entered into your own chance at receiving a copy of the game. So guys, thank you for all the love and support. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I will see you guys in the next one. But before you go, if you want to see more Poppy Playtime theory videos, check out this one right here as we go over the relationship with Catnap and the prototype and what it means for the future of Poppy Playtime Chapter 4. Anyways, guys, thank you again for love and support, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, peace out!